Hey everybody, and what is going on? Welcome to another monthly market update looking at the real estate market in the Niagara region and the Hamilton region. And this edition is for the month of June. So if you're asking what has happened in the month of June, what's the big headline news? Well, the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is the Bank of Canada has now lowered the interest rate for the first time in 4 years, if you can believe that. So it's been a bunch of increases and then a whole bunch of holds, and now they've actually started to let off interest rates. So what does it really mean? Now, will this impact the market, let's say, in this month of June? Not necessarily. I think that this is more of a sentiment move and a signal of more rate cuts to come. I feel like the Bank of Canada is very aware of the amount of people who are going to have to renew their mortgages in the next couple of years. So, starting even this year in 2024, 2025, and 2026, the vast majority of Canadian households are going to be renewing their mortgages at a higher interest rate, which is going to increase their monthly payments and therefore, lower their disposable income as a household. I think that they need to start really mitigating this. And I think that lowering of that interest rate is the first of many to come. I think it's taken them this long to start lowering the interest rates because they don't want to overheat the housing market, which has stayed very resilient despite what interest rates have done over the last few months. But now it's getting time where we need to be very cognizant of what's going to be happening for the average Canadian household over the next few years. And we just can't suffocate our economy like that. So that's definitely the big picture of what's going on kind of Canada-wide, province-wide. But then when we start to zoom in, like we always do every month, on the specific regions of Niagara and Hamilton, we can get a better sense of what's really happening, more boots on the ground. And what we're seeing right now in both regions is that prices have increased again from last month in May, but only by about 1%. So that's a little bit lower than what we've seen in other month-to-month comparisons as we've had this incline, but it still is increasing. The gas really hasn't been let off in terms of price increases on average since the wintertime, since January, December. So just like the weather continues to heat up in this area, we are seeing that house prices are continuing to increase and heat up as well. Hasn't stopped. Now, what's really going to be interesting to see is what this lowering of the interest rate is going to do. And it's likely expected that we're going to see another drop in July next month. Now, we'll see. Obviously, no one has a crystal ball, but that's where a lot of the experts are leaning. And it's going to be really interesting to see how much energy and how many buyers and investors that puts back into the market. And of course, with more demand comes potentially higher prices if the supply doesn't increase as well. And just to give you a little context and a little comparison of where current prices are in comparison to where we were in recent history, right now that we're seeing is that house prices are generally around where they were in the kind of like the early spring of last year and then late summer last year, which you can see on this graph that I've displayed here. There's been a bunch of up and downs lately, but realistically, if you kind of draw a line straight through, you're going to intersect where, again, prices were kind of in August of last year and then in April of last year. So the general trend is actually pretty easy. It's literally in Hamilton, in Niagara, we're seeing house prices continue to climb. The farther we've gone into the future, the higher house prices have gotten. And of course, this is fantastic news for anybody who purchased back in the wintertime, right? Even into the fall, they're really seeing a nice return on their investment in a very short period of time. And it's nice to see some recuperation in terms of price from where we were seeing a couple of years ago. In the peak, there was a lot of people who purchased back then when house prices were really, really high. And they've suffered a lot over the last couple of years in terms of watching their valuation and their house prices kind of drop. So it's nice to kind of see some of those prices recoup. And if things go as they are predicted, we're going to see this trend kind of continue. So you might be watching this video and asking, okay, Cameron, are there areas of Niagara or are there areas of Hamilton where things aren't really following the trend, where they're a little bit different than what we're seeing kind of across the board? And yes, definitely. So there's two areas that I'd like to highlight, one in Niagara and one in Hamilton. Let's start with Niagara first. So I've been highlighting this for a few months, and it's really interesting to see what's going on in terms of condo apartments in Grimsby. If you've been keeping your eye on that, I've highlighted those prices for the last little while, and they still haven't rebounded yet. They have still been in this kind of system of decline, and they've finally just leveled out, but they are very much lagging behind in terms of the general trend of recouping in prices, rebounding in prices. So to me, if I was a buyer and I was looking for a really great opportunity, a market that is very undervalued right now, I'd be looking at the condos that are in Grimsby, specifically the ones that are on the north side of the QEW in Grimsby on the Lake. And then an area of Hamilton that I've definitely got my eye on, it's been very interesting to watch over the last little while, is detached homes on the mountain in Hamilton. So anything Upper Mountain, right, in that area has really stagnated over the last little while. So if you look at the graph here, you can see that prices have really stayed pretty flat. They haven't really had much growth over the last little while. And that is definitely something that they don't have in common with the rest of Hamilton as a region. So very much something to keep your eye on. Very much an area where there is a solid buying opportunity currently. And I think that savvy buyers, savvy investors, if they were to act quickly in both of these areas, they would see a really great, like I said, opportunity present itself. Okay, so now that we have a general idea of what's going on kind of across the two regions and in some specific areas, I think I want to zoom back out just a little bit, and I want to give you some more general advice based on what I'm seeing in the market. And realistically, until trends start to change, my advice is going to be the same as it's been for the last, however many months. And that is the time to buy is now. And if you can wait, if you don't need to sell, the further you look forward into the future, the better the opportunity is going to be to sell. The more value you're going to get out of your property, the higher you're going to be able to sell for. Now, what I personally believe is that as the Bank of Canada starts to continue to lower interest rates, they've started, and now that they continue to lower the interest rates, I think that you're going to see more people find confidence in the market. I feel like the sentiment is going to be generally positive as a good time to get in, and you're going to see more activity. And if supply can't catch up with that demand, then I think that you're going to see increased prices. Now, from a national standpoint and from a provincial standpoint, we are seeing record levels of immigration. These people who are coming into the country are going to need a place to live. There is a massive pressure on the rental market right now. So investors know that there's a lot of money to be made, and they will be looking to get into the market, as well as a lot of other first-time home buyers as interest rates come down. And since we are definitely not keeping up with demand when it comes to new builds and new construction, I just generally think that prices are going to continue to go up. So the sooner you can get into the market, if you are looking to make a purchase, the better off you'll be. And again, if you can wait, if you don't need to sell in the immediate future for whatever reason, then don't. Wait it out a little bit. The longer we go into the future, generally, the more you could potentially get for your home. And like I've said a million times before, there are certainly a lot of things that you can do if you do need to sell in the short term, like painting, landscaping out the front, cleaning and tidying, of course, any sort of general maintenance that needs to be done, and little things like changing light fixtures to give it a little bit of a refresh. All simple things that don't necessarily break the bank, that can give you a really great ROI and really give a really good impression for anybody who's a potential buyer for your home. And then, of course, just to recap very, very quickly, that I see really great opportunities to purchase both in Grimsby when it comes to condo apartments north of the QEW, and then detached homes on the mountain in Hamilton are seeming to be really interesting windows of opportunity currently. But as that changes, I will keep you updated, and look for my video next month where more recommendations, more takes on the market will be available. And thanks for watching, as always, everybody. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or you can find my contact information in the description, where you can always send me a text, a call, an email, whatever you want. I'm always available to answer any questions that you have or hear your takes on the market as well. It's always great to kind of hear that stuff. So yeah, drop me a line if you can, and I will see you on the next video in July. I hope that you've had a great June so far, and you're out enjoying the weather. See you next time.